Hi, this is the tutorial video for American Analytics and our SafeChemo wipe sample kit for USP 800 compliance. And the tutorial is about how to complete our chain of custody form. My name is Tally Olivo, and I'm the SVP of Sales for American Analytics. And the chain of custody form is a very important form that's a part of every single kit. And it's really important for you to fill it out properly because it actually is a legal document for your sampling event. And this is a copy of our current chain of custody. You'll see at the top here it says Wipe Sample Chain of Custody, COC. And there's a lot of instructions, so it can be a little overwhelming, and so that's why we decided to create this video to go through step-by-step in detail on how to properly fill out this form. So you must fill out this form to include all of the samples that you're collecting. Every single one of our kits contains the materials that you need in order to collect up to 12 samples. So if you collect all 12 samples in our kit, you'll notice here you're going to need to be sending us 2 forms. You'll notice here in number 20 where I'm circling with my cursor, you can list 6 samples. So there's 6 samples per form. So if you were to collect all 12 samples, you would be submitting 2 of these forms. When you complete your sampling and you complete the chain of custody, we ask that you scan and email the completed chain of custody up here at the top to our pharma at americananalytics.com. The email address is also way down here at the bottom left. Item number or data field number 34. Scan and email a copy to pharma at americananalytics.com. You can also fax that to us at our fax number and attention to AA-Pharma Division. All right, so now you've completed your samples and you're ready to fill out the chain of custody. You're going to enter the date that you collected your samples. The next item here is the kit number. And what we've done is we've actually provided stickers in the kit with our kit number already on there. And so you can just put the sticker that's provided in the kit, just put the sticker right there on your chain of custody form. If for some reason you don't have those stickers, the kit number can be found on the inside top of the kit box. The inside top of the box has a paper that has a yellow and blue section that describes the inventory in the kit, and the kit number is at the very top of that page, so you can always certainly write the kit number if you can't find those stickers in data field 2 here. The next data field 3 is name of PO's organization, and that also relates to data field 4, the PO number. If you have a purchase order number for the budget or for the cost of this wipe sampling event, we ask that you put that PO number here and then the name of the organization that created that purchase order. That's what goes in these 2 boxes. The next section is called billing or sponsor information. Now, the billing information would be if this is a wipe sample event that you're conducting for your own facility, you would put the accounts payable information in here. Or if there's a sponsor, such as there's some closed system transfer device companies that sponsor wipe sample events, and you would put that sponsor information in here. Now it says here, please check if a copy of the report should be sent to the sponsor. Typically, the sponsor would like a copy of our lab report, so you would just check this box here to let us know we should also send a copy of the lab report to them. Your lab results are highly confidential. We only send the lab report to who you designate us to send that to. It is not sent to anyone else. And so we want to make sure you're okay with us sending that to your sponsor, if there is one. So whoever's paying for this wipe sample event, the company name, the contact person, their phone number, their address, and email all need to go in this section here. Now this next section is about the sampling site. So that's the actual facility where these samples are being collected. So that would be the name of the organization. So it could be your hospital or cancer center, whatever the name of the facility. Who is collecting the samples? We need to know who is the actual person collecting these samples, their phone number, their email address, and then also the address and department building and room number for where these samples are being collected. The next section is the report recipient information. So this is who is getting the copy of the laboratory results. So we need their name. You'll see here section number 16. Their name, their mailing address, their phone number, and their email address. And the lab report will be sent electronically to this email address, as well as the email address for the sponsor if there is a separate one. Now the next section is the meat of the chain of custody. And this is where your sample information is inserted. Very important that you put your client sample ID here. So let's say you're sampling a hood. You may decide to call it hood 1, or you may decide to call it H1. And then you would put the location description, let's say compounding room left corner. You can put here whatever makes sense to you so that you know where this sample came from. And then what's really important is, as you know, USP 800 recommends that you perform this wipe sampling at least every 6 months. So for each one of your sampling events, every 6 months when you sample that hood, or you sample the safety cabinet door handle, or you're sampling the IV cart, you're going to name that sample here in the client sample ID. You're going to give it the same exact name every time you have that sample event. And what that's going to allow us to do is provide you trending over time. So let's say you did find hazardous drug residues on the safety cabinet door handle of cyclophosphamide. We'll be able to show that since you found residues, you're going to improve your decontamination SOPs, and you're going to be able to see those concentrations decrease or go to 0 over time or over the next 1 or 2 sample events. The next section is fairly self-explanatory. It's the time that you collected the samples. You indicate the surface material where you're sampling, so that may be stainless steel, it may be vinyl floor, it could be glass, it could be a number of different sample material, plastic. So we need to know that. And then sections 27 and 28 relate to the measurement of the surface area that you're sampling. We provide pre-measured frames. So if you're sampling a flat surface, you can just check off the box here, just put a check mark. Yes, you use our pre-measured frame. If you were sampling in a regular surface, like maybe a phone handle or a keyboard or a doorknob, you're going to want to use our disposable measuring tapes, and then you're going to measure a length and a width, the X and Y, and you can put those two measurements, length and width, here in these two boxes. The date the surface was cleaned, if you have that information and you know the last date that the last disinfection or decontamination was performed on that surface, you can certainly insert that date in section 29. I'm going to skip section 30 here for a minute. I'm going to go to 31, where it says check box for requested analysis. This is where you let us know which hazardous drugs you want us to analyze your samples for. We can analyze up to 15 different hazardous drugs for each sample. So that means that if you had one sample, you could analyze that single sample for up to 15 different drugs. And we have our standard drugs listed here. If you have ones that are not on our list, you can check off other and let us know what those are. And it takes us time to add new drugs to our analyte list. We do want to continuously add new drugs as time progresses. And of course, we want to hear from you, our customers, what you need. Which drugs do you need us to be analyzing? So we want to hear from you about the drugs that you want us to add so that we know which ones are the right ones to add. But know that it does take us at least 2 or 3 months to add a new drug. So we may or may not be able to add that drug for your current wipe sample event. And we'll give us a call or shoot us an email, and we'll see how we can add that maybe for your next sample event. Now I'll go back to section 30 here. And this is another really important section of this chain of custody. And it actually goes to why this form is called a chain of custody form. This is where you input who has touched these samples. And we want to know what is the chain of custody, who has handled these samples. And that is because this is a legal document of your sampling event. And this is also part of the prevention of cross-contamination that we keep hammering. And if there was a problem with the samples, we want to know where those samples were and who handled the samples, every person or every entity that handled those samples, that we may be able to trace some cross-contamination back. So that's part of where this comes in. So whoever collected the samples, the sample collector that's listed here in section 11, is going to be the first person to sign right here in section 30 as relinquished by. Now they may be relinquishing that to FedEx, right? Because every one of our kits comes with a prepaid FedEx addressed envelope for free shipping back to our laboratory here at American Analytics. So they could just sign in this first box here, and then right under their signature they could put to FedEx, and then put the date and time that they handed that over to FedEx. Then what's going to happen, FedEx is going to deliver your samples to our laboratory, and our sample receipt person is going to sign here as received by, and they're going to put the date and time. And so that way we know who collected the samples. If the person who collected the samples handed them to a manager, and that manager is the person that sent it off to FedEx, the manager's going to have to sign here as well. So typically it's the person who collected the samples is handing off to FedEx, and then we sign as received by. And that's what goes here in section 30. The next section, 32, is if you have the information, if you're using a closed system transfer device, you can just put yes, no, and if you have that device name and model, that would be great. And this section 33 is you're going to indicate how you're sending these back to us. Hopefully you'll use our prepaid FedEx envelope for free return shipping. You can click here, click the box for FedEx, add the tracking number if possible. And then the last step before you send these samples back to us, again, section 34, the last here, way down at the bottom left corner of our chain of custody, please do scan and email this chain of custody form. It might be multiple pages, but please do send that scan and email to pharma@americananalytics.com. Once you've done that, you'll put your original chain of custody forms into the box with your samples, and you will mail those back to our laboratory for analysis. So that is the basic tutorial for how to fill out our chain of custody form. We do encourage you to ask questions, shoot us an email, give us a call. We want to hear your questions and give you answers, especially as we all get used to doing this wipe sampling and the new USP 800 as part of the new USP 800 regulations. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to working with you.